Hi, I'm Ted Kofi, and I've just come from Yanga Television after doing a program after the Ghana elections. And it's been several days now since the vote on Monday. And I can sense in the Ghanaian community everywhere, depending on which side you are, lots of frayed emotions about A, the nature of the result, and B, the manner in which the result was delivered. And it's caused me to think about how the whole thing came about. And I do feel that it's impossible to get this thing in any perspective without considering the context within which the election was held, the manner in which it was conducted, and the manner in which the result was called. We got to remember that every time we hold an election, we set a precedent for what's going to happen the next time round. We, by the way we conduct each election, create a new normal. That's the first thing. The second thing is that 5 people died as a result of this current process. Now, the 5 people didn't die because it was one party fighting itself. The 5 people died because there was a conflict between 2 parties. So it takes 2 for this outcome to result. Thirdly, I noticed very clearly a kind of football supporter mentality amongst members of both parties. Football supporter mentality is one in which I remember in the good old days when Arsenal was winning everything. They had this midfielder called Patrick Vieira. Patrick was a blocker. He was a hard man who could also throw a long pass. And I remember the way Arsene Wenger, the then manager of Arsenal, used to react to some of, shall we say, Patrick's more robust challenges. Arsene would come along and say things like, "Ooh, I didn't say that. No, I'd have to look at it in the slow-mo replay after the match." Basically, football supporter politics is a kind of politics in which the supporters don't see anything wrong that their party is doing on either side. But you can't run a democracy like that. Now, we've been 60 years independent as a state in Ghana. And after 60 years, we have all racked up an experience of how politics plays out in our country. And it begs the single enormous question: is Western style democracy really the thing for us to do in Ghana? Does it really fit the way we are and think and believe and behave? It's a huge question. Because if a person is eating with the wrong utensils, they can make a real hash of their meal. They might even starve before they get satisfaction. Give a Japanese person a set of chopsticks, he can eat anything from noodles. They can probably even eat fufu with chopsticks. Give the same instruments to a Ghanaian, and they couldn't nourish themselves. Another thought comes to mind. It is rare for Ghanaians acting in their role as chiefs to be corrupt. Far rarer than it is for Ghanaians acting in their role as public officials to be corrupt. What's the difference? It's the same person. The difference is the structure within which they are working. So we really have to ask ourselves, and I mean, this is the thought I just want to throw out there for people to consider. Is Western style democracy the thing we need to do? Do we need to slavishly follow a Westminster system just because our former colonial masters willed and bequeathed that to us after 60 years? Can't we think for ourselves and work out a system that works for Africa and Africans? Because we're the first beneficiaries. And we're not trying to impress anybody. We're trying to make our country go forward. Couple of examples. Western-style democracy is a highly confrontational activity. But you need a mindset which enables you to agree to disagree. You need a mindset which enables you, after the confrontation, to shake hands with the opposition and work with each other going forward. Do we know how to do this? Is this in our culture? Look, it's not accidental that half of our wisdom is passed on through proverbs. Proverbs are not a confrontational manner of speaking. They are very nuanced, very oblique ways of communication. An outsider might say, what the heck is this person talking about? They're talking wisdom. Because given our culture, our way of being, our social structures and everything else, confrontation can be highly incendiary. When the people over here hold elections, nobody dies. And yet these people can abuse the living daylights out of each other during the campaign. Right after the campaign, business as usual. Winner takes the prize. The loser licks their wounds and waits for the next time around. Can we do that? Is this in our culture? Is this in our way of being? That's just one example. Secondly, ours is a group-oriented culture. Ours is a deeply authoritarian culture. I've read in a post on Facebook today that in Nigeria, when you speak to a senior, you don't look them in the eye. You look towards your feet, you bow your head, and you speak softly. You can't win Western-style democratic elections by not looking your opponent in the eye and speaking eyeball to eyeball with that person. But is that in our culture without leading to fisticuffs, gunshots, and people dying? So, for me, that's actually the biggest takeaway. I mean, congratulations to Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo for winning this election as our system has called it. My heart absolutely goes out to John Mahama, who has played a blinder of a game to come from so far behind. I don't want to get into the bun fight of he did this and he said that and he appointed this and he didn't appoint that and so on and so forth. Do you know, I won't even go into the matter of the Electoral Commissioner, Miss Jean Mensa. I don't even want to go into that because you can't blame her for playing in the system that she's playing in. She's playing the team that's been put in front of her. She didn't choose that. Jean Mensa didn't choose our culture. Jean Mensa didn't choose our institutions. Jean Mensa didn't choose the mentality of those above, beneath, and in front of her. So, and I really genuinely don't think that this is fudging the issues. The truth is, look, we're 60 years independent. We're grown men. If we were a man at the age of 60 should know his left from his right. I think it's time for us to revisit the matter of how we govern ourselves and find a system which reflects our maturity, our integrity, our intellect, and our talent. Because nobody on this planet, I don't agree with anybody who suggests for a moment that, say, Ghanaians are less talented than anybody else, or that Ghanaians can't run their politics properly, or that Ghanaians are inherently bent and corrupt. I don't believe any of that nonsense. It's just, I'm sorry, it's just palpably not true. But if you try and make a Ghanaian eat with chopsticks, and he spreads the food all over his face and on his batakari and so on and so forth, who are you going to blame? Are the chopsticks right for him? Or is the Ghanaian inherently inept? It's a thought that I'd just like to put out there for tonight. Thanks very much.